In case you missed our last episode of Life with the Polites, MRL, Marriage, Relationships, and Love, here's what you missed. There are an enormous amount of bad relationships, unhealthy marriages, but the one that I feel that's more self-inflicted is the self-denial. And when I talk about self-denial, I'm talking about rejecting truth. I'm talking about rejecting truth to remain in a relationship. Like I said, it's a lot of bad relationship issues. But denial, self-denial, one that's really willing on rejecting the truth for a relationship, it's harmful. It's hurtful. And as much as it sounds, it really comes down to two particular things. And Lady P, that's what I really want to get into. It really comes down to the situation versus the relationship. I want you to think about when we're talking about self-denial. Self-denial in a relationship, it's harmful and it's hurtful. But there has to be a purpose. There has to be a root cause that really drives an individual into this particular mindset. And I believe that it comes down to the situation versus the relationship. So what do I mean when I say the situation versus the relationship? I'm talking about this, and I'm going to read it very closely. I'm talking about the relationship means so much to someone, and this can be men or women, that the relationship means so much to someone that they're willing on denying, misleading, misrepresentation, and disowning what they know to be true. They do all of that to overlook the situation for the relationship. That's a lot to swallow in a relationship. They find themselves, I said, denying. And when we talk about denying, we're talking about to refuse. We're talking about to mislead. We're talking about to be misinformed, to deceive, to give wrong impressions. We're talking about misrepresentation, not to tell the truth, or to disown, to turn one's back. That is a lot for an individual to subject them to remain in a relationship. And how countless is that today? How for real is that today? How many ongoing relationships do we honestly are aware of that we have individuals stuck in a relationship where they no longer should be? We can say because, but someone has to answer the because. The because can be a lot of things. But to be able to be founded and formed and in a position to where right now, because of being misled, because of disowning, because of a behavior, and that's what self-denial is, and we're going to get into that a little bit. Because of behavior and a mindset, many people choose to overlook a situation because of a relationship. And how profound really is that? How profound is it? A question this morning, do we really surrender? Do we really give up our belief of love, honesty, trust, and respect for a relationship? Do we? Let me say that again. Do we really surrender, give up our belief, our love, our honesty, our trust, or our respect for a relationship? Again, we're talking about an issue that I feel that's really profound in a lot of relationships today because it's a reality. It happens. And I truly believe a lot of us that find ourselves in this particular situation, we fail to recognize that a true relationship must have love, honesty, truth, and respect. And here's the takeaway. You can't have 2 of 4, 3 of 4. You have to have 4 of 4. That's the sustainability of a relationship. And to think that today's modern age, to think about all the advancements that we have, to think about one that's willing on self-denial to remain in a relationship because of a situation, because of their refusal to disown the truth or reject the truth, really compounds the issue of the health and the state of that relationship. It's a lot to fathom. No one can be a part of a relationship and lack, I should say, these things. It's hard to imagine that one would surrender these characteristics of a relationship because of the relationship, because of a situation. Lady P and I, we believe that in regards to our relationships, that everyone must know your value and your worth in what you bring into a relationship. Your value and your worth are the backbones of your existence. So when I talk about surrendering, when I'm talking about rejecting those qualities, those characteristics that make you who you are, because of a commitment that you've decided to overlook a situation that really and truly stares you down your face to remain in a relationship, is very damaging and very dangerous. Lady P has taught us on numerous occasions, it's avoiding the traffic lights, the traffic signals of a relationship. And part of the self-denial conversation this morning really comes into interjection into that. Because Lady P has really told us about the red light, the green light, the yellow light. She's given us an enormous breakdown on the caution of the yellow light and which it brings. And that's where we truly step over the self-denial portion, because we look that off. We don't embrace what's being revealed to us. We've developed closed ears in regards of commitment and wanting to be a part of a relationship where we are lacking the characteristics and the qualities of a relationship moving forward. But the question this morning for our Facebook family is, why does a relationship in some cases mean more than a situation? Why does the relationship in some cases means more than the situation?
Say that one more time.
Why does the relationship in some cases means more than the situation? And when I talk about the situation in which we are rejecting. We're rejecting truth. We are rejecting the caution light that's flashing, that's telling us there is an issue, there is a problem. We're rejecting the red light that's telling us to stop. Why does the relationship in some cases mean more than the situation? That's very hard. That's very hard for me to really even speak of. And like I said, what drives a person to overlook the situation in their relationship that brings them disrespect, hurt, and shame? What drives them? What mindset is acceptable to them to allow them to overlook a situation in a relationship that brings them disrespect, hurt, and shame? Those are two very hard questions that I pose. But for the reality of the life and the lifestyle and the issues of relationships today are hard to fathom and answer. And for some people, it hurts for me to say Many people ignore the obvious. Many people ignore the obvious. And the obvious is to move on from the disrespect, to move on from what hurts you, to move on from the shame, and let go of being stuck where you don't belong anymore. Is there a time? Is there a willingness of just when hurting is a necessity for the relationship? Is there? Is there a necessity for one to have to hurt? Is it a necessity for one that has to endure pain and disrespect to remain in a relationship? On the other hand, the ratchet world that we live in would have us to believe that the situation that is failing us with disrespect, failing us with hurt, failing us with shame, that we should look upon it and invite the weakening that it brings to us, that we need to learn to live in it. I find that hard to believe and accept.
Can I just interject for a minute? Because you started out with focusing on the negative. When you said there's a lot of, I'm trying to remember how you said there's a lot of bad relationships or whatever. But if I wanted to switch the focus, just still staying on the topic, but switching the focus just a little bit, because there's also a lot of good relationships out here, but that can say that they feel that they are stuck. What's the title again? You said stuck where you don't want to know, where you should no longer belong.
Mm-hmm.
So, still focusing on the stuck. I think to switch to the positive part about that. Sometimes I want to just say it the way I wrote it down because I was listening to you. And sometimes we feel stuck because our focus and our priority has to change.
Are you talking about the individual?
Yeah. Sometimes you're stuck in a relationship because your focus or your priority has to change. For instance, I'm going to just read it the way I wrote it here. What do I mean by your focus or your priority? So, for instance, if we're in a relationship, we have a good relationship, but sometimes there were times in this relationship where I have felt stuck. Okay, and I didn't choose to walk away. What I chose was because the key thing you said, the question you asked was, why do the relationship mean more than the situation? So I'm going to change two words, the word relationship and situation. And I'm going to say, why do the love mean more than the season? Because when a person is feeling stuck, it's because, sometimes it's not that they're not loved. It's just that the focus and the priority of that individual, how they're looking at things, may be different from the other person. You follow what I'm saying?
Okay.
In a relationship, two people are never going to be, and hear me clearly with what I'm saying, two people are never going to be in the same season. Get what I'm saying? Two people are never going to be in the same season. God said there's a season to laugh, there's a season to cry, there's a season to grow, there's a season to be birthed. You was born before I was. Sometimes you said I'm not. You understand? You know where I'm going with that? So sometimes you're more in seasons where I'm not. Sometimes you're going to work. Sometimes I'm at home. No two people are in the same season at the same time. Ever. You may have a quick moment, but your seasons are not the same. I'm going to give some more examples, and I'm going to give it back to you, but I just want to explain the same. When the child is born into a relationship, fathers are no longer home. They have to go to work. Mommy's home. Two different seasons. So your focus is on an obligation, responsibility is one place, the other person somewhere else. So the seasons are always different. So I found that in relationships, and I hear it a lot as well. When a person is starting to feel, and I'm being real about this because I'm listening to you, but I can also apply myself life application to what you're saying. Sometimes we feel stuck because our focus and priority is not the same as the other person's focus and priority because we're in two different seasons. So what the individual have to do is then change the focus and the priority to what will make them happy at that time. You follow what I'm saying? What will give them peace at that time. And so the feeling that the other person has to give that to them. I think that's a very hard lesson in life and in a relationship, because we feel that when we come into a relationship that we are to help each other, and that's true because we do. We are good partners. But there's sometimes when you know that when a person really feel like they stuck, it's because you're putting the emphasis and focus and the priority in a point in that relationship where you are in two different seasons. Or it's something that God has given you that you have to maintain, that I may not be understanding at that time, but because I'm making such a focus and a priority on what I feel I need, it causes the clash. Now, not taking away from what you were saying, because no one should be shamed, no one should be disrespected, no one should be if it's all the bad of what you said, then yes, we people need to reevaluate in anything and every day of their life in a relationship. But while I'm hearing you with the word stuck, I really truly feel that a lot of people walk away when it's not all the other negativity. They walk away from relation because they feel stuck, because they really are expecting the other party to fulfill something in their life, because that's what they've been going through. That's the season end. That's what they feel. When in reality, we have to be honest enough. Oh my God, I'm getting ready to feel it. We have to come to the point of realizing that maybe the other party is just not able to fulfill and give you that need at that particular time, because you're in two different seasons. You have two different things, responsibilities or accountabilities at that time. So it's for the person who's feeling stuck to refocus, to change the focus, to change the priority, to change their energy somewhere else, to change their time somewhere else before they even think about walking away. Because sometimes when you are, and I think it's most of the time when we're feeling that we are stuck, it's because we feel that the other person is not giving us what we need at that time and season in our life. And most of the time, it's not fair to put all of that pressure and responsibility on the other person. You've got to get to a point, because sometimes, when you've been with someone for so long and you've been one for so long, that you lean and you depend on each other for so long, that then when you get into that stuck season, you demand more, you expect more from the other person, when that may be the time in the season. My God, what God is saying, it's you now. If this is what you want, you have to change the focus. You have to change the priority. You have to exert your time and your energy on what you feel that you need, because this is not the time and season where the other person can do that. Now, when you're in that season, and it can get to the point of what you're saying, you follow what I'm saying? Because sometimes the demand it can be so strong, because people are like, hey, I'm not getting you, probably might help me, I'm not and then they will begin to get the disrespect or the or all the things you say, because sometimes you put in too much demand on the other person. And I hope I'm not taking you off, but I felt the Spirit saying, give the positive side, because sometimes we put too much on the other person. True, females are helpmates. Sometimes men put too much on the woman, and vice versa. True, women, the men is a leader and they provide, blah, blah, and sometimes we put too much demand on them to fulfill and to assist us and support us and what we feel is a priority and a focus for us. You follow what I'm saying? And so when it gets to that point, all I'm trying to bring back, and I'll bring back to you now, all I'm trying to say is that when a person is feeling they are stuck, I truly believe that that's when God is trying to tell that person it's time for you then to focus on that area that's a high priority and not put so much demand on the other individual, because you can then become disrespectful because you are put into you're expecting your level of expecting. You are human beings like I'm a human being. You have things to fulfill in your life as an individual. Although we together, you have things in your life as an individual you have to fulfill that God has given you as well. And so when the seasons are not the same and the focus, the priority is not the same, so much pressure can be put on the other party that those things will happen. And so then, yes, what you're saying will happen. Because you forget what? You forget about the relationship, which is the love, and you're focusing so much on the situation, the needs, the wants, the demands. That's why I said seasons. Because different seasons demand different things. So there's a time for everything. But I truly feel that when these things are happening, before it gets to this point, we need to do a self-evaluation and say, let me just switch gears. Yes, this is my lover. Yes, this is my spouse. Yes, this is my mother. Help me, Holy Spirit. Yes, this is my sister or my brother. We have to come, Jesus, I am feeling the Spirit on this. Because you are absolutely right on this. But the Spirit is saying, how did they get there? How did they get there? They got there because when they felt stuck, they expected the expectation, the high expectation, because that person has already delivered. Jesus, help me. That person has already delivered all of that. But then that person may not be in that season for whatever reason. It's not saying they're not helping all the other areas, but the need for that particular person who's feeling stuck is so overwhelming right now that they're still looking for the other person to still be support like them. And that's the time that God is saying, it's you now. It's you now. So I just felt the Spirit saying, let me just come in and say, well, how did they get here first? How did they get here? Because, when, and sometimes, especially like you said, the world is so, I forgot what word and term you use. Ratchet. It's so, because everybody, the Bible tells us in scriptures that in the last, even though everybody's going to be selfish. Exactly. Everybody's going to want their own needs fulfilled. And so that's why, when we get to be in a season where we feel like we're stuck, we don't realize that really we're starting also, Jesus, we're even starting to become selfish to a certain extent because we want our needs met, but we're not taking into consideration of what the other person is at, or what instructions God's given them, or what's happening in that person's life and what they have to do as well. And so you then become all this, and a lot of people walk away from good people, good relationships, because the demand and the focus and the priority for that particular person who's feeling stuck is just putting too much on the other party. So I just feel my release now. I'm going to give it back to you. So we already gave the good part now. I'm going to let you go back to the bad, because I hope I didn't throw you off, but I just felt the Spirit saying, ho. Let's tell them how to get there. Because when you're stuck, when that person is feeling stuck, because you don't know when I'm feeling that I'm stuck unless I begin to verbalize it. And I don't feel when you feel it until you start to verbalize it. But the thing is that it's time for you to go to God And it's time for you to hear what God is telling you that you have to do if he is no longer allowing the other person to deliver you or rescue you, my God, from why you're feeling stuck. Why you're feeling stuck. Because again, sometimes, relationships are beautiful. When it's teamwork. They're beautiful. And I'm speaking from experience, and maybe that's why it just rose up in me. I'm speaking from experience, because had I had not had the love for this relationship, those years I was feeling stuck, if love wasn't more than the situation or than the season or the priority or the focus that I felt I needed, this would have been going a long time ago. You follow what I'm saying? But yet, during that time when I was feeling like that, I watched still how I treated you. You follow what I'm saying? Because when a person's feeling stuck, they can be rude, they can be ruthless, they can be how can I say it? They can be critical, they can be unreasonable, they can be just selfish. And so, but if the love is there, you will wait and ride it out until you really begin to hear what God is trying to tell you to do so that you can get unstuck. My God. So you can get unstuck. And it's natural, and it happens, and it happens because, for instance, as mothers, when we get into the season of parenting, if you are a parent, and I'm going to say it that way, you understand that it's no longer your life. You are responsible for a child. So sometimes you put your dreams down, you put certain things down. And so now as the kids get older and now you're older, if you feel like you haven't successfully accomplished some of the things that you have accomplished, you will start to feel stuck because now you're getting old. I'm just trying to get some examples. Okay. This is real life application. You would then start feeling like, you feel stuck now because, now you're older, you didn't accomplish this, the world is dictates what you can do, what you cannot do. And now you feel like, you're behind, and so then what happens is you start trying to put demands and pressure on your significant other because you're trying now to accomplish certain things in your life. You follow what I'm saying? And so if and so you put in the situation, your situation, over the relationship, over the love. Because you were and I'm just using that as an example, that's the first thing, only thing I know that everyone can relate to. Because even husbands, y'all can be, very successful, in finance, whatever, and then children come in, and now it stops also the things that you want to do as the financial provider, blah, 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 blah. So even men sometimes they feel, good fathers, good men, okay, may feel like, now their kids or whatever, and now they feel like, and so now they start putting demands on the woman because they feel like they can't make up for those past 15, 20 years. You follow what I'm saying? So now the love that they used to give to their wife, now they start being rough and, you should be getting a job, or you should, well, what happened to the love and the foundation that we built? You follow what I'm saying? So when you're feeling stuck, whoever is the person that's feeling stuck, that's time when they have to go to God. Because you can't force nobody else to unstick you or unplug you. It's now your time. It's your season to change the focus on you, what it is that you start and work on that, because the season of what you were doing is over and gone. Now this is the season that you're in regards saying, okay, now you focus on this. He's already there. He got you. You follow what I'm saying? But it's how y'all handle each other in that season when you felt stuck. Because if when I felt stuck, I was battering you and beating you up and being disrespectful and there wouldn't be a relationship. So I allowed the situation in the season that I was in to disrupt the relationship, which is the love that I had. I apologize if the spirit had us to, do a 360, but the spirit just wanted people to be real before you accuse someone else. Like in Jesus, Lord, before you accuse someone else for you being stuck, he wants to put the focus back on you. You're in another season. Stuck sometimes mean that you have completed one season, you ended a chapter, and now you're in another one. And when that transition takes place, you do not want to put a lot of emphasis and demands and lose the foundation, which is the love that relationship had. Because when you do, then we have that. So now I'm gonna give it back to you.
Well, I mean, again, learning to live within the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's basically a lot of what you said. Being open to address, to learn, to live within the relationship. Mm-hmm. It takes an enormous amount of one being studious to understand that seasonally everyone's in a different season, and it takes another heart to understand sometimes it's kind of unbalanced because everyone's or both parties are right at this particular season is at a different point. Right. So I believe that learning to live within those parameters plays an enormous role in guiding us through those seasons. Mm-hmm. It takes an enormous amount of situational awareness on each other's behalf. Because, I mean, I mentioned that the world that we live in is very ratchet because the world will tell you vice versa. The world will tell you everything opposite of the protocol of God. The world will tell you what you need to fend for yourself, with the exception of. So, to go back to what you were saying, is digesting the capability and relying on God to help you, help the relationship learn to live within. And I think that's very profound, that we can step back and really look at it from another perspective. Because the challenge is, and I think you kind of said it in numerous ways, is understanding the level to where everyone's at. There's a different...
Exactly. And only love allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Loving one another only allows you to do that.
Mm-hmm, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a different level where each of those individuals are at. Mm-hmm. And that love, that honesty, and that respect pulls that together when you can learn to live within. Mm-hmm. I mean, the strength of God is capable of doing any and all. But when we understand that, we have to be still enough to allow this to really reshape and form our minds, then it allows the control of God to move.
I'm glad you said that, because from the very beginning, the foundation of the relationship is love, acceptance, and respect. If that was never there, then when a person is feeling stuck, then all these negative behaviors is going to show. But when you just said, I wrote that, I forgot what it was. When you just said to allow God, you know what I'm saying? It's if people don't, if people are not applying God in that relationship or don't have God in their life, then when the individual's feeling stuck, that relationship is going to just is going to be done with, because God has not been the center of that relationship. Because when God is the center of that relationship, and that relationship, so let me back up. So if God is in the center of that relationship, where God is, there's love. That's one thing I always would say. If you put God in the center of any situation scenario, then love is going to be there because God is love. So if love is there, then we know that those two individuals, love is what? Love is patient, love is kind, love is all the things the Bible says. So that means even when the individuals are feeling stuck, those fruits are going to be applied. Those characteristics of God is going to be supplied. And that's where we allow God to control the situation, because the foundation of the relationship was built on love. And it's just sad sometimes, sometimes as adults, we just don't want to really pay attention to the flaws that we have because we are adults. But it's sad because, like you said, there's a lot of people around us right now that, I see it and I'm like, my God, this person's walking away from this marriage because you're stuck right here and you don't even see it. You don't see that you're putting too much. You're being selfish right there. You're being selfish right there because you have a need that you want met and you're expecting the other person, so that you allowing God to allow you to work on that area. Because truly that means you in another season.
You're absolutely right.
You're in another season. And there's things that has to be met now in your life individually. So just like you individually obtain things and you did things when you felt like there was a need in your life prior to you being in a relationship, well, those same things going to happen from time to time when you're in a relationship. But that's when still the love for one another will be there to support it by you doing what you need to do and not putting nothing more or nothing less on you while you're trying to accomplish that area where you feel overcome, that area where you feel you're stuck. It's just sad. Like I say, I see right now, I can count on one hand where I see a lot of people are already now in the process of walking away because they feel stuck and they're putting too much, but they're not looking on emphasis. Well, you know what? It's not for the other party to do what your priority is right now. It's for you to allow God to help you to fulfill that area and to accomplish what it is that you feel that you are lacking, you don't have, and thus far. The other person who loves you would do what they can do, but it's for you to do the initiation when you're feeling you're stuck. You follow what I'm saying? Because if you hungry and if you hungry and it's time for you to eat and you don't get up and go cook, you can't blame the other person.
It's true.
For not feeding you. We are grown. So it's time to really do self-evaluation in our relationships and really say, hey, have I been putting too much emphasis on the other party to fulfill, these areas where I'm feeling insufficient or I'm feeling stuck, as you determine we're using? No matter who you with, and I can use even with children. Children feel that even parents are supposed to do everything for them, even as they become adults. They're stuck. Because they don't know how to make the transition from being cut from the umbilical cord to being young, strong, God-fearing people. Because they rely so long on someone else doing it for them. And so when you're stuck, that's really the attitude you have to come out of stop thinking that someone else is supposed to do it for you. They're there with you. They're still for you by supporting you, by you doing and accomplishing what you feel you need to do to become unstuck in whatever area it is in your life. But the love has got to be there from the very beginning as a foundation. Otherwise, parties will walk away. And it's sad. A lot of relationships are walking away because somebody has felt stuck. And so that person saying, you know what? Let me, through the grace of God, let me get instructions from God on how God is going, how God is now going to bless me. Yeah, he's been blessing us as a couple. You follow what I'm saying? But now that I'm in this season of being unstuck, I have to seek God and help, ask God, okay, God, what steps am I supposed to take? Me, not my significant other, not whoever else that I've always been supported to help him. God, what instructions are you giving me to help me to be the person that I know I should be? To love me to love me as much as I love the other individual. You follow what I'm saying? Sometimes we lose focus on loving me, and not in a selfish way, but in a way to where we're feeling whole according to how we know God has put in us. Because no one wants to be on this earth feeling like all their heart desires haven't been fulfilled. But we can't expect other people and beat up on other people for not being of assistance or doing it all over, doing it all by themselves to helping us to feeling whole. Then what are we breathing air and taking up space for?
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? God has created all of us to be creators, to put our hands to something and to create something. And when you at that point in your life, is now God said, okay, I'm going to give you instructions. I'm going to assist on what it is that I'm going to help you to do to fill up, to be fulfilled in life.
I think what happens also is that you have two people that forget both of them are self-sustainable. And during the midst of the season, one sometimes feel that the other should have an increased workload of their sustainability for them. This is to go back to what you were saying earlier. But everyone's competent in a relationship for sustainability. There's always going to be a love and a commitment to continue to build the foundation of oneness. That's the love, the respect, the honor, and the continuation of promoting the things in which God has brought us together. But everyone has a form of sustainability. And
say that one more time.
Everyone has a form, F-O-R-M, of the sustainability. Because we are created for such. God created us for sustainability. When the going gets tough, the Bible says that we fall, but we get back up. And I'm paraphrasing. You know what's so significant about we get back up? Because we have sustainability. We don't stay down. We're built by the hands of God for sustainability. One crushing does not keep us down. One purging does not keep us down. We are built for sustainability, that we can move as God directs us, as God gives us counsel and vision to move. But to go back to what you said earlier, a lot of it's very true, and how you nailed it is that the season is attached to the atmosphere, and sometimes you have two different people at two different seasons and at two different atmospheres. But the love is the connection to the sustainability.
I got a little sense of humor here when you just said that. I gave an example on the female side. Another example what I'm saying is, you have some, I was going to put it more on the male, but it could be either way. But you have some men whose sex drive is they have a sex drive. But then when they have children, I don't know what just happened. That was the first time that just happened, but I don't know. But devil's a liar.
Amen. Amen.
So when children come into play, someone's sex drive is not being fulfilled. Or I'm going to use the word intimacy. No, I'm going to leave it sex drive. It's not being fulfilled. So sometimes that person may feel in a relationship that, hey, they're starting to feel stuck because, hey, they're not getting what they want. You follow what I'm saying?
Okay.
But if the love is there, they don't allow that season of not, I'm just trying to do a life after this. They don't allow that season So have them to start being insensitive, not supportive. They don't start walking out the door. You follow what I'm saying? Because now, like that's why I said it has a lot to do with different seasons. That sometimes if you're not getting what you feel you need, you start feeling stuck. But if love is there and you understand we're in different seasons, we at different points, you have to then put God in the center and ride that season out. You follow what I'm saying? That just that was the human point. I didn't come across as humans as I like to, because I just get distracted by us losing connection here. But that was just another example I wanted to give when it comes to, being stuck in what do you do? How do you apply things the right way and not allow the situation to have you to walk away because you feel like you're not getting what you feel you should be getting, and that's what makes a person feel stuck. Well, why am I stuck in this relationship? I ain't getting that. Well, hey, let me go and da. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa for the female,
Well, selfishness too can.
And I did say selfishness is a part of the stuck season. Your focus is on you. Your focus is on you. I'm not getting.
If all one can see in a partnership is oneself, then there's going to be a quote unquote stuck season, because the emphasis is only being placed on one person, and that one person in their own self-denial feels that the focus or the spotlight is no longer on them. So there's going to be selfish tendencies that's going to be revealed. But that can be addressed. But to get back to, I guess, the form that you've laid, we've learned how to live within. And when you learn how to live within and you allow the move of God to continue to speak and drive, we understand that our seasons change. We understand that the atmosphere that surrounds our relationships improves, it grows, it matures because of the openness, because of the love, the willingness to continue the move, to grow and foster and build upon a foundation that has really gotten you from where you started to where you are right now. Learning to live within helps us understand a lot of the small things that maybe some people in the relationships and are feeling stuck, forget, or have taken for granted.
And that is so true. That is so true.
But we shift gears and we come to a point to where we have to understand that there is an enormous amount of surrendering. There is an enormous amount of giving. There is an enormous amount of really allowing each partner in the relationship to continue to grow and see for themselves, not just those two individuals, how God reveals the unstuckness because of their willing to continue to get their hands dirty in a relationship. Because let's go back to some of the things we said last week. If you're not trying to get your hands dirty in a relationship, you're going to feel stuck.
If you're not willing to work.
That's right.
If you're not willing to work for what you want,
it goes back to, being self-sustainable. If you're not willing in those particular seasons of truly understanding that the both of you are learning to live within, and that passion needs to continue on not just one side, but both sides, then you still see the power and how God can really move and develop. But I mean, there's an enormous amount of surrendering, and there's an enormous amount of allowing the seasons to change and change you. I mean, we have to have that particular type of perspective if we're going to understand growth and maturity in a relationship. We have to be all in understanding that there's going to be, as you said earlier, a season of change. Mm-hmm. A season of change that will come about and improve the progress of the relationship, building toward a successful and strengthened foundation. Mm-hmm. Learning to live within. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We learn to live within because we want to, not because we have to. Mm-hmm. You have to want your relationship. You have to want to really work and really foster the type of relationship that really is going to bring you and bring God the glory. And that helps when both people can understand that, hey, there's always a moving part that we don't see day to day, but the moving part is God behind the scenes speaking to our hearts and our minds, and that thrives, and that success and that power and being used as an instrument helps us to obtain and for us to get over the things that make us feel or make us fall in that being stuck mindset. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's sad because sometimes when a person is feeling stuck, sometimes they do have a right to feel that way. And if I was to give an example, let's say, you had two people who in a relationship was very supportive and whatever, and then let's say one of them gets ill and they become disabled. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying? And all those years that they have been in the relationship prior to them being disabled, they've been a partner, they've been loving, they have done their part, and now they're disabled. And then the other party is not supplying, then that's where it's a total difference. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. Because if you are where in the area you feel stuff because you can't do for yourself, but then you have someone in your life with you that should be doing it because this is your significant other, your spouse, whatever it may be, mm-hmm. Okay? Then yes, that's not a selfish scenario there. Mm-hmm. Because if you have been there for me, if I have been there for you all my life and now I'm disabled, mm-hmm. and I now need you to help me to do the things that I could not do, mm-hmm. and it's just not given, and then all those negative things that you mentioned come about, then yes, that's a serious situation there. Mm-hmm. And so it's what some people would do still, thank God if the love is still there, that person who's then feeling stuck would then probably reach out to another family member to help them, mm-hmm. still stay in the relationship until because sometimes when you still show love, even when the other person is not doing what they should be doing, eventually it'll get their attention because, hey, wait a minute, she had to go get her mother to come and take it, or she had to go get her sister to come, mm-hmm. what I'm saying? Sometimes things will happen to click the other person back over, mm-hmm. and then the person who's feeling stuck will remain. But even in doing that, and then the other party is not being supportive, then yeah, that's also a time where you would take a self-evaluation and say, hey, God, me and you, what am I supposed to do with this? Mm-hmm. Because that's not being selfish at that point. Mm-hmm. You cannot do. If you can do, then you're being selfish when you feel you're stuck and you blame others. But if you cannot do and the other person is not, then it's that person who is being selfish and don't want to sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? Which means you have to question that love. You have to that person who's now feeling stuck will begin to question that love. Mm-hmm. But again, it's how the person who is stuck handles that would make it either come around, or there would be a breakup because it would just become too much.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And my prayer, and I just hope, is that whenever people are feeling that they are stuck in their life, that they really just first put God at the center of the situation, and really to seek the Lord to help them and what it is that they need, in order to keep that relationship healthy.
Amen.
Because nothing is more annoying than an unhealthy relationship. Nothing is more annoying than being shamed, than being disrespectful to one another. That is too much wasted energy. It is draining. It is draining. And that's not what God intended for a relation. God intended for love to be the foundation of a relationship. So no matter what season the two parties are in, when they're in separate seasons, God is still the center. And
Amen.
That's what makes it work. Amen?
Amen.